Hi guys, I welcome you all to the next lecture in our anthropology series. So we were doing human growth and development, and today we are going to cover the factors that affect the growth and development in different phases, right? So we know that we have talked about what is a growth, what is development, ठीक है ना? So human development is the process in which the changes occur in all the aspects of organism. So not only from the physical growth and development, we are talking about the mental growth and development, how the personality of a person develops, right? All these things come under the growth and development of a human being. But this growth and development will differ for different people, and this happens because there are various reasons and factors that we are going to study. So there could be genetic reasons, there could be environmental factors that play, there could be socio-economic factors, cultural factors. So all this make every person unique, and how these things affect the growth and development, right from the physical to the mental to intellectual, everything, how these factors change to make different people unique is what we are going to study today. So it is observed that all the children do not grow in the similar fashion. Some children's physical growth occur earlier than the others. ठीक है, while some people might come out to become more intellectual, some people become more creative, some become artistic. ठीक है, कईयों का growth and development is hampered by nutritional factors. So all these things are very important factors that play role in development and growth of a human being. So in this phase, if we talk about growth and development, it does not stop in any stage. So whether it is the prenatal stage or the postnatal, or even when you become an adult, ठीक है ना, the growth and development is taking place, whether it is the positive growth or the negative growth. जैसे for example when we talk about aging and senescence, ठीक है, senescence is like growing old, ठीक है, with growing age, you know, there are disabilities that come your way, right? So this can be called as a negative growth also, right? So growth can be positive, growth can be negative, it does not stop at any stage. But if we talk about इसमें से most critical phase for development is and growth is the early development. ठीक है, because क्या होता है, what कहते हैं ना, the nutrition you take, the kind of environment that you are born into, mother's uterine environment, these are the stages of development which are the most critical, because whatever you are going to be for the rest of your life is going to depend on these early development years. So development involves social expectation, ठीक है. So development does not only mean physical here but also more than that. So far as mental development is concerned, some children have better cognitive ability, memory, reasoning, thinking ability, right? While some could be more into art, they could be artistic, some could have more interpersonal skills, some might be very good at linguistics, ठीक है ना. So we have talked about कि growth and development is a very very wide phenomena, and it does not stop at any stage of life, ठीक है. But if we talk about which stage is the most important, which developmental stage is the most important, it is the early development, or it is the young age where what happens to you is the most important, and this depends on many factors that we are going to study today. So the first factor is, you can say, the hereditary factors, or you can also call it as genetic factors, ठीक है. That means you can say genes provide a base to your personality, to your development, because क्या होता है कि you need to have a base on which you are going to build a thing. For example, you want to build a building, right? You want to make a building, right? This building will have उसके लिए कुछ एक इमारत होनी चाहिए ना. So that नींव should be there, that base should be there. So base के ऊपर ही you can build upon, right? So genetics or heredity is that base on which you are going to build your personality, your development, ठीक है. So heredity exerts influence obviously it is going to become, it is going to have a lot of role to play in your development. So the genetically transmitted characters from one generation to next, for example, many things in us are what our parents have, right? So for example, somebody has a natural music talent to it, so it could be possible that the parent also had that similar talent, right? So it is more pronounced in the baby, right? It could be possible that the height, the weight, these are the direct things that are, you know, you take from your parents, ठीक है ना? So there are indirect things, there can be direct things, but a lot of things are there that gives a basis to your development in the future life, ठीक है? So the physical characteristics like the height, the weight, the eye color, the hair color, your physiological characters, ठीक है, like intelligence, personality, creativity, they are all innately determined by your heredity, ठीक है? And now what you do from it is something which is you know, different. For example, you might take इंटेलिजेंट, यू नो, आपकी इंटेलिजेंस आपके पेरेंट्स पे हो सकती है, बट वेदर यू यूटिलाइज इट और नॉट इज you know, solely up to you, right? So genes give you a base, but then what happens to it because of the environmental factors or other factors, other external factors, is something which will make you a different person. So saying कि only genes will matter, ऐसा नहीं होगा, ठीक है? But definitely genes has a very important role to play. So genetic code provides the base, as I told you, on which the brain and body grow and manifest in observable appearance and behavior. So I hope there is no doubt here. And if you want to take certain examples of how genetics play a role or heredity play a role in our development and growth process, so you can say that the inheritance of age at menarche, ठीक है? What age the you know, the menstruation starts in females, it is approximately you can say 2 months apart for the twin girls. If there are two twins, right, so they will approximately have like on the same time, the age at menarche is the same. It could be like 2 months here and there, but it is mostly same. And the biorhythm of daughter and a mother, that means if I am a person, if I am getting my first menstrual cycle at the age of 13 years, it is possible that my mother also got her first period roughly around the same time. So what is this? This is biorhythm, this is genetics. That means what it flows in your genes. That means your growth and development, that milestones that you're achieving is roughly coinciding with your parents or your siblings. So that is what. So that shows that definitely genetics has a role to play. Then we have done twin studies. In twin studies, we have seen that how intelligence or intelligence as a trait is how much influenced by the genes. So ऐसा होता है ना, if there is a subnormal mother, ठीक है, the child born to that mother has also subnormal intelligence, and vice versa. If there is a mother whose intellectual quotient is very high, there are higher chances that the child born to her will also have very high IQ, right? So intelligence as a character is has shown genetic you know, correlation, ठीक है? So this is one example that you can quote. Then there is an example of Japanese children, how they reach their peak growth earlier than Negroes or whites. That means ये कुछ genetics में flow करता है ना. That means if Japanese genetics are there, their growth and developmental milestones are earlier than the Negroes and white. So obviously that is flowing in their genetics, that is why it is happening like that, right? And dental eruption, that means what is the time when your teeth are going to come. So now we know that approximately for all the humans, these time periods of development are roughly same. For example, if I talk about menstruation, the time is approximately, you can say 11.5 years to 14 years. But now in some families or some cultures or some you know, category of races, it could be 12, for some it could be 14. So that average range is there, but किसके लिए कितने टाइम पे हो रहा है, that is different for all. ठीक है ना. Similarly dental eruption, there is an average time period की when the teeth are going to erupt, but then also it shows a lot of similarity between the families. That means if your parents had a dental eruption, it might be that you also must have got your teeth and the sequence in the same manner or the same time. So I hope there is no doubt about how genetics play a important role. I hope there is no doubt here. Then the next comes our environmental factors. So when we were talking, I don't remember the chapter now, but clearly when we were talking about nature versus nurture debate, we have covered at least environment and genetic component very in utmost detail. So anybody who wants to add up anything in this topic, in this part specifically, can go back and watch the nature versus nurture debate also. So वहाँ पे हमने discuss किया हुआ है कि how many things in our personality or our development process is determined via the environment or determined via the genes, right? So apart from that, there are other factors also, the socio-economic and you can say normative factors that you can write from here. But if you think that environmental factor and genetics, because these two are most important, right? These are one of the most important causes. So इनमें आप कुछ add करना चाहते हैं, you can just go back and watch those videos. So let's come back to environment. So environment can consist of a wide range of stimulus, right? So if I have to say nutrition, economy, society, culture, they are all in a way part of environment only. But now here we are differentiating some of these parts, right? So environment में क्या होता है? Environment consists of a wide range of stimuli and it provides the necessary input and experiential base for development of a child. That means if genetics provides a base, environment gives you that opportunity of how you are going to develop. That means you had intelligence, but whether you utilize it or not is dependent on your environment and how you culminate yourself. ठीक है ना? So enrichment or impoverishment of the environment would produce differences in his abilities. That means if you were born intelligent, okay, but now you don't utilize it, so then the intelligence has definitely diminished, right? So if you get a very good environment where you have good teachers, you have your family is very intellectual, so then your intellectual quotient will further develop and it will further enrich, right? So a child may have inherited music talent from his parents through transmission of genes, but he may not excel in music, ठीक है, because he might not get the proper environment to support his innate ability. So I hope there is no doubt here, right? Now examples, if you have to write how environment plays an important role in development and growth, so these are certain examples that you can quote. For example, there was a Japanese migration to Hawaii and this is a case study. So this is a case study that you can write. There was a case study done on the Japanese people when they migrated to Hawaii, and then they demonstrated because of the change in their environment, they showed increase in their height and weight. So Japanese are little shorter in height, right? But when they changed their environment, so geography change hua. So because of the change in geography, their environment changed, the food habits changed, the culture changed, the geography changed, the everything changed, right? So because of that, they showed increase in height. That means what? Environment has a significant role to play. Genes में if they had shorter height in if they had shorter height, that means genetics has a role to play. But now the height has increased. That means environment also has a role to play. And इसमें I had talked about in one of the videos of elasticity of genes. That means, for example, एक gene है that encodes for height of a person. Every gene has a elasticity. That means the kind of environment that you're going to give, that gene is going to manifest itself into that way. For example, the gene, the Indian heights are mostly medium height, not very tall, not very short also. Okay? So let us suppose that a gene has range of 120 to 150 centimeter of height. Now if you give good nutrition to this person, he might attain the most extreme term. So it is possible, it is the elasticity of that gene, right? Similarly, agar us gene, though the gene could have produced his height up to 150 centimeter, but external environment mein that kind of nutrition was not given, the nutrition was very low, so he might attain very less height also. So that also depends upon the elasticity of the genes and how the environment can determine the genetics. So I hope there is no doubt, and either कोई doubt नहीं होना चाहिए. We have studied these things time and again. Okay, so this is the first example case study of Japanese migration. Then we have twin studies also. We have seen that when we co-twin studies and twin studies, when we put one person under a controlled situation and we train the other person, ठीक है, so definitely जिसको training मिलती है, he improves, right? So that shows what environment has a role to play. Definitely genetics is one area that is going to determine what kind of a person you are going to be, but that environment also makes a difference, right? For example, a person who is put into a family of higher socio-economic condition, because his parenting would be better, he would go to a good school, he would get good nutrition, so obviously his intellectual capabilities would improve from a person who will be put into a lower socio-economic family, right? So this is what we had studied in the twin studies also. Then body shape and size affected by environment. We have studied how the Bergman rule, the Allen rule, ठीक है ना? All these things are also example of how environment shapes our physical growth also, right? So people who are living in the colder environment, they have small size, ठीक है ना? Their body size is smaller, right? So all these things are also environmentally determined. Then emotional factors also. Emotional factor क्या हो गया? Children of broken homes and orphanages do not grow at optimal rate. So obviously in broken homes there is no emotional development of the children, because parents are often not that much involved with the children. They are often they have seen violence, aggression in their early age, those children. So they also become introvert, they become silent, they become aggressive, all of that. So emotional growth does not take place. So as I told you, development does not only mean physical, it means social, it means cultural, it means emotional, ठीक है? So all these things will become a part of our environment also, ठीक है ना? So इसमें you can talk about the home environment also. So home environment में obviously we can talk about कि whether your parenting has been supportive or stressful. Based on that your own personality grows, ठीक है ना? So earlier years of development में what the behavior was there in the family, how much parents have taken care of the child, ठीक है? What kind of food, socio-economic background of the family is there, all these things create a effect on the growth and development of the person. So I hope there is no doubt here. Third comes the cultural factors. Now what are cultural factors? Culture, we know, is the set of beliefs, attitudes, values that are transmitted from one generation to the next, right? That means if we are born into an Indian family, Indian cultural practices are very different from, you can say, maybe a Japanese family or a Western family, right? So all these things are things that also determine your development and growth. For example, इसमें मैं आपको एग्जाम्पल देना चाहती हूँ. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इन इंडिया देर इज़ अ कास्ट सिस्टम, ठीक है ना? देर इज़ अ कास्ट सिस्टम. सो इन कास्ट सिस्टम व्हाट इज़ देर आर communities that are ostracized. So there are people who are believed to be untouchables, right? So these untouchable people, because they are debarred from doing many kind of activities, they are poor, ठीक है? they are not they are debarred from studying, they are not allowed to take education. Even today in many rural areas, ठीक है, there is a lot of discrimination that happens with these communities, right? So education नहीं ले पाते, education नहीं ले पाते, तो that creates a vicious cycle of poverty, ठीक है, malnutrition, ठीक है, all of that. So because of this, because there is a caste system, there is a divide between who can take education, who can grow, ठीक है, maybe this is not there today and not very you can say in the strict way possible, but then also it has a bearing on the people. Ab now if a baby is born into a family like this, who cannot take education, who is poor, who does not have good nutrition, so what will happen to that person? That child will be malnourished, that child will further not be able to get any kind of intellectual development uska nahi hoga, because there is lack of educational opportunities, there are lack of economic opportunities. So that is how culture can also determine. Similar, if there are cultures where female position is it's not, they are not respected, or they are not allowed to take education or go out and work, तो क्या होगा? Their development will stop, their intellectual development will stop, they will only be there to fertility के लिए रह जाएंगे, they will only there for the reproduction of children, right? So this is how culture plays a role. Similar आप races के लिए भी example ले सकते हो. So I hope there is no doubt here as well. Now comes our socio-economic factors. Mostly we have talked about it. इसमें socio-economic में you can write either you can make it a different heading, that is nutrition, nutritional factors, or you can add it up in the socio-economic factors as well. So socio-economic क्या होता है? The society you are born in, the kind of economic status your family has. So if you are born in a family where there is high socio-economic in a higher socio-economic grouping, तो क्या होगा? You will get better nutrition, you will get better medical treatment, ठीक है, your family will be exposed to better intellectual stimulation than a person who is born in a lower socio-economic group. And that is how you will, your mental ability, your intellectual ability, your physical abilities will also change. A person who barely has food, ठीक है, will not be able to physically grow as strong and as normally as a person maybe who is from a better socio-economic background. So I hope यहाँ पे कोई doubt नहीं है. These are very basic points. You can just just read the slides and I've explained everything. So there is no like इसमें कुछ इतना, there should be not much of a doubt. Now comes a very important topic जिसको आप other factors, you can call it either other factors or you can call it normative factors as well. Normative factors, non-normative factors. So ये क्या होता है? These are influences that occur in a similar way for the majority of the people in a particular group. So for example, if I talk about a family, so one family will have similar kind of genetics, so this will come in a normative influence. Or if I talk about a culture, one culture will have similar practices, so hence similar impact on the people of those cultures, so that becomes a normative factor. That means anything which occurs for majority of people in a particular group becomes a normative factor. And non-normative क्या हो जाएगा? That is a chance. That means आपके साथ हुआ और किसी के साथ नहीं हुआ. For example, everybody in the culture जैसे for example in India there is a joint family system, right? So people have a lot of love and respect, and there is cumulative, you can say cumulative growth that happens. But here in a Indian social setting, a person who is an orphan, ठीक है, he will have a different upbringing, he will have different social experiences, right? So this becomes a non-normative factor. That means something which makes you different from the rest in the group. So that becomes a non-normative influence. So we can just read about it. So normative influences हो गए that occur in a similar way for the majority of people. For example, entering the school at about 6 years of age, because everybody does the same. You enter the school at 6 years of age. Okay? Most of the people of the same age at the same place and time and generation have common biological and environmental influence. Okay? So I think normative में there is no doubt. Non-normative हो गया, which is unusual life event. For example, death of a parent when a child is young. ठीक है ना? Or a child born with a birth defect. Now this makes you different from the rest of the people in that group. So this is normative, non-normative factors. So I hope there is no doubt here and the topic is clear. Tomorrow we are going to talk various theories of aging and senescence. Again, very important topic. So guys, I hope you liked the lecture. If you did, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much.